Well, if you were up here yesterday, you won't recognise Edinburgh today. Snow's gone, blue skies. You may recognise this gentleman, however, about to deliver the match ball, James Robson, Dr. James Robson, who spent more than 30 years here looking after Scotland's players, latterly prowling the touchline. He did the job with the Lions as well. James retired after this year's Six Nations. We all miss him. I have honestly never met anyone who cared more for rugby players than James Robson.
Absolutely. It's quite a touching moment, actually. You see me nodding to the new Dr. Jonathan Hanson on the way out. I firmly believe that every rugby squad you play in has a heartbeat away from the players, and James was that man for that team and for the British and Irish Lions for so many years. And you're absolutely right, Nick. I've never met anyone say a bad word about that man. An incredible human, and always looked after the players and had their best interests at the very heart of it.
Chris Busby, the referee from Ireland, his first ever test match between these two. Under blue skies that were snowy skies 24 hours ago. This promises much. Here's hoping. Australia with Lola Sayer. He'd have practiced that about 5,000 times this week. And Scotland off a kick-off that didn't work, but Scotland handing it back to Australia off a gather that didn't work either. It's not been a great start, Rory.
Oh, he got away with it. Lola Sayer, I think he just lifts his head there, and it's not even halfway to the target, but Hugh Jones comes in and actually tries to pick up the bouncing ball and make the break, but in doing so knocked it on. Duhan van der Merwe outside him collected it. So Australia get away with one.
Reminds me a little bit when you go to the driving range before a game of golf. You get to the first tee and top it, lose your ball. That was rugby's equivalent right there.
No doubt, John, you know that one well, don't you?
Unfortunately so, Rory.
Anyway, the game can get underway here. Jake Gordon, Australia's scrum half today. Wrapped up in tape today, and Lenny Kitao getting the backs going straight away. Gordon. Lola Sayer. And the fullback, Tom Wright, how well he has played over here over the last few weeks. Lola Sayer and Taianga Amosa, the hooker, starting today, picks out Carlo Tizzano, new face on this tour this weekend. Well, Valentini part of the link, and then the kick through, and it's gathered in safely enough this time by Hugh Jones.
Done well there. I'm not sure whether the kicking that ball away was the option on this occasion, but Scotland get the opportunity to put together a decent exit.
It's not available. Yeah, Scotland did well there to hold it. There would be some slight concerns from their side that every single ruck there was quick. We see how dangerous Australia can be off that quick ball, and you see them straight away get into their shape, into their structure, looking dangerous.
Part of Joe Smith, it's all about the first couple of phases. It's all about that direct, get gain line early, force the defence to go round the corner running backwards, and we saw that very early in this game.
This is the Western Forces, Brandon Taianga Amosa, and then Tizzano, and firing it out to Harry Potter, getting his hands on the ball. You're a Wallaby, Harry. There won't be many jokes.
I was going to say,
there's got to be
the first wizard joke.
There's got to be at least one.
There has to be.
Lola Sayer, Valentini. Taianga Amosa knocked back. Scotland's defence has been insistent this autumn, drilled as ever by Steve Tandy, and the ball was loose. They managed to lever that away, and then Russell gives it plenty of oomph. Tom Wright goes backwards, the ball going on its own little merry adventure. Wright eventually brings it under control.
Retreat!
And he will involve his opposite number, Blair Kinghorn, Toulouse fullback. First game of his autumn as the starting fullback.
Retreat, Scotland!
It's not stupid. Just down the middle, it's going to... Yeah, Lola Sayer's going to run this out and kick to touch, knowing that otherwise it would have been a goal line dropout, and for them at least now they can try and find some defensive shape.
Well, there he is. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, by the way, published 6 months before he was born in 1997. So as much as he'd like to blame his mum and dad, he can't really. No one knew who Harry Potter was when he was born. Taken up the front by the 50-cap man Ferguson. Tui Pelotti finds Russell one-handed. Oh, Russell bought some time for himself and it very nearly worked.
Yeah, how many times have we seen that shape, Nick? It's the only two. Pelotti is the main carrier distributor in midfield. Hugh Jones short and the ball went out the back there. And Finn Russell does a brilliant job of holding the ball, making that Wallaby defender make a decision. Just the final pass, just slightly behind it looked like.
Two coaches with 175 test matches worth of experience between them, Townsend and Schmidt. Schmidt leads the head-to-head 3-0, by the way, from his time with Ireland. But if Gregor Townsend does win today, it'll be his 50th in charge of Scotland.
And it's a pivotal game. There's no doubt at all that, you know, this single result can encapsulate Scotland's year. Such is the magnitude of it. Gordon
goes down that slightly narrower blind side and involves his half-back partner Lolaseo. This is Lukan Salakaya Lotto off the bench for Jeremy Williams an hour or so before kick-off. Williams injured, Nick Frost brought onto the bench, and then Scotland offside. You have to come from behind the back foot.
Yeah, Rory Darge couldn't quite resist it. It looked like he was almost part of the tackle, but even if you're part of the tackle, you've got to get to the back foot, and he gets pinged there. But again, you see in Australia when they get their big ball carriers, you talk about the detail in their game. Part of that detail is making sure your best ball carriers are carrying the ball frequently. You've seen Will Skelton a number of times, Valentini, Swatali'i, all the players. If you're an Australian coach, you want to see them carrying the ball as much as you can. Look at that, just power. Darge just goes in at the side. He's got to take his hands off there. It's not a great picture for the referee. Easy one for Chris Busby to pick.
Scotland shortening their line out, so expect Rob Valentini standing out in midfield to be employed fairly shortly. And deciding to keep it tight for the time being with the hooker. Valentini's still the option. He's wondering whether he ought to go and get involved with his bigger mate. He doesn't need to.
You've changed your bind onto the ball carrier.
Penalty has gone against Scott Cummings for changing his bind job.
And that right there, Nick, is the killer. You get one penalty, which is an obvious one to the referee, and then you follow up immediately at the very next line-out with another line-out. And Australia have gone 50 metres. You assume this kick will go into the corner, 50 metres, and had done no work. And this is something that Scotland have got to cut out of their game, because it's something where this high discipline, this high penalty count, it becomes very hard to control the narrative of the game and where the game's played and how if you're on the wrong side of the penalty count.
Scotland averaging a dozen penalties a match this autumn. Latest one has brought them to their back doorstep. Some serious defending to do here. One by Wilson, the captain. Will Skelton's in there. He's added so much to Australia's mauling game. All that weight, all that experience, but Scotland doing brilliantly to force that back. Is that Rory Graham on the floor? Darcy Graham, yeah.
Remarkable. The little whippet, smallest man in Scotland's squad. Yeah, there he is. And I think it only came off the back of the maul. Maul got going. There was a breakaway maul, and then from there, Darcy Graham just sniffed out the opportunity and pounced straight onto it, over the top of the ball. And when you're knee-high to a grasshopper, you're difficult to shift.
Watch the speed he comes in, Roy. So just the speed, he's straight in there. And I think it's Will Skelton or Valentini, so he doesn't expect possibly that Darcy Graham's going to get in there quite so quickly. Going to be that size, the speed in, and is how you can beat players.
Lovely smile on his face as well as he came up with it. That line out was not straight.
Do you want to Harry?
There will be
a
change in the law from January the 1st that even if the line out isn't straight, if the opposition team doesn't put players in the air to compete, you will win back the ball. But Neither of those applied just then.
Okay.
Yeah, interesting. If it's thrown 25 metres way over the top of the line out, I guess it could almost be any direction. But yeah, on that occasion there, Ewan Ashman deemed not straight, and it's such a key area, John, isn't it? That this set piece, particularly when you're in your own third, to be able to execute those and get the drills right.
Yeah, you look at teams like France and certainly South Africa. Look at the distance. Antoine Dupont gets on his kicking game, just gets out of your own half quickly. Doesn't have to be stressful.
Ikitau took it in initially. Gordon, Lolaseo, half sees a gap, went for it. He was held on to by Russell.
Offside number 12 point.
Scotland continuing to ship penalties to Palotto offside. Bringing pressure on themselves. Lolaseo happy to oblige, and then Ikitau, and then Suali'i with the slap to the left-hand side with Potter. Joseph Suali'i gets it back. Briefest of tip-ons from Bell as well.
It's the quality of the carries here, Nick. Every carry's going forward, every carry's making yards here.
Another penalty on the way. Such is the pressure that the Wallabies are exerting here.
Okay, no advantage coming, fellas. We're going back. Number 12 offside.
To Palotto.
Just here, Brissy.
A glimpse in the middle of all that, though, of what Joseph Alkuso Suali'i
Okay, don't get involved, lads. You got the penalty.
is all about. He's back.
Don't get involved.
Suali'i, and all the signs that he will be Australia's next big thing. He's got edges that need to be rubbed off. It was only his first professional game of union down at Twickenham, but I think we can all see it coming.
Yeah, I think it's nice to be in a position if you've played one game and it's just edges you've got to smooth off. It's there's so much quality to how he plays the game. You can almost see him playing there for the next 10 years. With Ikitau, I wonder if Andy Farrell's watching this game with a Lions hat and wondering how the pairing of Sione Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones faces up against them, because Joseph Suali'i is a handful, an absolute handful. We saw in particular down at Twickenham just that offloading ability, X factor, ball in the air. He seems to have every part of his game.
Sometimes looks like he's playing rugby on cheat mode, and I think as he builds out his rugby union IQ, it's just going to go from strength to strength. He's an athletic freak, plays the game in the right way, and just has a mindset of success.
Noah Lolaseo, Australia 80% possession, 80% territory, 100% of the points. Scotland 0, Australia 3.
It's been a strong start. I think Joe Schmidt will be very happy arriving here at Murrayfield Stadium and see his side come out. As John's referenced on a couple of occasions already, their physicality and their contact, they get the gain line early on in the phases, and from there it's really difficult to plug the gap. So Gregor Townsend will be desperate to see a response from the men in the navy blue.
Long restart, just to the left of centre. It's taken in by the fullback, Tom Wright, the Brumby. Already been someone for him. Skelton, not overly keen to engage in the chat with Ben White.
And right there, that's a great example. We talked about exits. Just no fuss, no frills there. Two big carries, get out your half. I know you want the kick slightly longer, but it's also a little bit about energy conservation. You want to be using your energy in the right part of the pitch. As it is, Scotland have got attacking opportunity, and part of the way they'll have to try and play the game, they'll have to use the ball, they'll have to exert some pressure on this Australian team. It can't be dictated to entirely by them.
Play on.
The ball was there to be picked up. It's
Early drive. What's the number, Brissy?
going to be a Scotland penalty.
5. Number 5, early contact in the air.
Against Skelton.
5.
I think referee Chris Busby initially thought it was fair game. The ball was dislodged. I think Grant Gilchrist now having a word with him to say it was early contact. I think it was picked up on the near side here. I think it's Andrew Brace on this near side touchline who picked it up. We'll just see here Scott Cummings. Skelton, just before he comes down, Will Skelton's got to let him get to the ground there. He actually paws it out a hand like a dinner plate, and as it was, just ended up on the deck. Scotland, good attacking platform for the first time in the game.
Scotland have only had 4 carries in the match, and they're going to have to wait for a 5th as well. Helped by the penalty.
Before you're on the ball, attack the ball, please.
I think it's Tizano gets done there.
Okay,
Actually, thought he was a little bit unlucky. He gets his hand on the ball.
Space beyond, hands beyond first.
I thought he goes on the ball, but then he just lands on the wrong side. He loses balance. Either way, Chris Busby can take his pick of the penalties, and Scotland are going to back themselves. They've got to get their drill better than last time. An option looked like they're trying to peel towards the back of the line out, target that seam between the back of the line out and the Australian back's defence, but there was an issue with the transfer there and it didn't click.
Ewan Ashman reclaiming the jersey today and picking out Gilchrist. Schumann not far away. Everybody in position.
Keep your bind one.
Right, trying to be as patient as he can, the scrum half. Now the ball has to go. Tui Palatu, Russell, nice. And then Darcy Graham chasing. The ball beats everybody. Time seemed to stop.
Oh, it was the option, just not quite the execution. One of those few occasions that Finn Russell couldn't get it quite right, but it came from the defensive pressure. There's a little bit of an exchange in the middle there. Yeah, just from the set piece, the Wallabies did incredibly well to stop the first line-out drive.
Time you've beaten ball after the whistle. It ends now. I'm going to speak to them as well. Okay, that's enough. All right.
Conversation with
second time after the whistle, lads.
Australia's 2 second rows, Lukan Salakai, Lotto and Will Skelton.
Just hold it up and set. Come on. Quick.
That's cute from Gordon, if it works.
I'm not sure that was a drop kick, more of a grubber, but he's got away with it.
Wilson, recovered from concussion against England 2 weeks ago. Valentini, but behind him to Lola Seo. Ferguson had to readjust his position, and by the time he'd got there, Swatali'i had beaten him to it. We saw the threat of Swatali'i in the air, particularly against England, chasing kicks, winning kicks.
He's done really well there, Angus Bell, because he got held up and actually managed to use his upper body strength just to twist and ensure that wasn't turned over.
Right, chase the kick, but it'll come back in double quick time. Lola Seo, you could build a small housing estate in the in-goal area here at Murrayfield, so lots of time for Kellaway to pick his spot.
Yeah, and to anyone watching, that kick wasn't a particularly good one by Finn Russell. It really was. You find grass, and with the new laws, you can understand why Australia are trying and opting to kick that ball. The alternative is a goal line dropper on your line. But you see the speed of thought from Finn Russell. Under pressure, catches it, beats the defender, and immediately even has the presence to get the ball over Chris Busby.
There's Ashman. It was Paddy Harrison last weekend here against Portugal. Russell. Duan van der Merwe. Is that the first time we've mentioned his name? I think it might be.
He's got to get his hands on the ball as much as possible for Scotland to be potent in attack. The more times he carries the ball, the better.
Cummings tried to provide the link, and then the knock-on. Here's the reality. It'll be interesting to get your two's take on this, but things have gone largely as expected for Scotland so far this autumn. Supporters would have probably anticipated the wins against Fiji and Portugal, maybe not overly surprised by the defeat to South Africa, but this test feels like the pivotal one, the one that will decide if November has been a success or a failure.
Yeah, and the encouraging thing for me is that the players and Gregor Townsend fronted that this week. They accepted it. There was no down talk of the importance of the game. And we said in week 0, before this whole thing kicked off, you've got to win 3 from 4. And it was an easier conversation to have, I think, before we saw the quality that Australia displayed against, in particular against England, the manner of the victory. But they have to leave this series of games with 3 wins, and it's a big challenge now with the quality they have. But the talk from Hugh Jones this week was all about, if we want to be taken seriously in the Six Nations, he meant, we have to win this game.
And a 9th win for Scotland here would be a new record as well, surpassing the Five Nations winning clan of 1999, a 9th win in 2024. Never scored so many points either over the course of the 11 months. Never scored so many tries. Life would appear to be on the up. There have been 1 or 2 blips, you think, of Italy in the Six Nations, but generally speaking, it's an upward curve, isn't it, Roy?
Yeah, I think so. And if you look at the overall viewpoint of Scottish rugby through this season so far, there's been the summer tour proved an opportunity to blood a lot of new guys. The guys that we saw last week against Portugal, you know, when you went away, played USA, Canada, Chile and Uruguay, that's a tour whereby you get the opportunity to see who the next are to step up, and the chance to also give some of the more senior guys the opportunity to lead that little bit more. And from there, we're back to this fully settled frontline side, and this is a really good challenge for them this afternoon.
Ikitau to Lolaseo and Wright, and Kellaway will chase after this, but it was actually closer still to Wright and to Potter.
Number 13, I asked you to stop. Yeah, you're always in front.
Swatali'i was in front of the kicker, and he didn't listen to Chris Busby, who told him to stop.
And they got a little bit lucky there. I know Australia were offside, but Duhan Butnamer's got to get down on that ball. The ball put in behind. It's a nice exit. Play into the wider channels, bring the open side winger up. The grubber through is the right option, but you've got to get down on that ball. On another day, that gets hacked through, and Scotland end up on their line.
Players get the ball after the whistle. 15 then holds the ball on the ground there. I'm going to move the penalty forward 10 metres, okay? Just talk to your team, control your team. Yeah.
Chris Busby, our
and then I'm going to move it forward
Irish
10 metres,
referee.
15, not letting it go.
Talking of Scotland's progress,
Here.
green and gold shoots over the last couple of weeks as well for Australia. Huge boost after the horrible rugby championship, record defeat in Argentina. The World Cup before wasn't any better, but now those wins against England and Wales, and as we've been saying, halfway towards a grand slam.
Initially here, then we're going for 10 to 15, release it in the ground.
Back we go. Little bits of chat, and it's cost Australia 10 metres, and it's brought the post absolutely within Russell range.
So an extra 10.
It has, and they're the ones that
Thanks, Ben. Sorry, I thought it was
I imagine coaches find particularly frustrating. You can sense there's a bit of niggle in this game, though. There's already only 18 minutes in. There's been a few, I wouldn't call them fracases, but there's certainly been some handbags. So you hear the referee talking to Sione Tuipulotu, want to cut out the game, want to keep the game moving, but it's given Scotland an act that they've got marched back, seemingly from a position of strength inside Scotland's half. Now, what you'd have to imagine would be an easy 3 points for Finn Russell.
Yeah, and that's a dull one. That's a dull penalty to give away. You've not only given away the pen, but you've given away 25 metres from there. I think the penalty was going to be around about the halfway line, and then ended up now right in Finn Russell's range.
It's only Finn Russell's second miss of the year. He's the most effective frontline goal kicker off a test match kicking tee this season. It was before that moment 27 out of 28. It's now 27 out of 29.
You don't see that very often. Goal kicking's come on leaps and bounds over the last number of seasons. As you said, Nick, his stats back that up. That'll be a sore one, though.
Won by Cummings, back after serving his one-match ban for the dangerous tackle against Franco Mostert in the Springbok Test to Tuipulotu. Russell under pressure, but how well did he do to get that ball away to Graham? Well, this time it's Australia who are stringing some penalties back-to-back.
Australia doing a brilliant job at defending off the pass. Watch the defender, I think it's Ikitau.
No problem, but stay up, please.
Swatali'i, in that case, he's actually reads on, as soon as the pass leaves the hand, he accelerates and takes the space. The problem they're having is, again, slightly over exuberant at ruck time. Got on the ball there, and sometimes that happens. You get on the ball and someone pushes you back in field, back over the ruck, excuse me. And that's exactly what happened on that occasion.
Yeah, it was tremendous first phase defence. It really was. You just see here, as John said, there's the jump out Swatali'i, but then everyone else reacts. Kellaway round the ankles, and because Finn Russell was taken by Swatali'i, there was his nearest support wasn't nearby. You just see the bodies piling beyond the ball there. That's where the penalty came. You've got to stay on your feet.
Half a dozen Australian penalties in the opening quarter. Time for Scotland to make them pay, you would think. Maybe now. Drive for the line, Tuipulotu. With his gran watching. She surprised him this week. He's seeing her for the first time in ages. She's travelled all the way around the world, and Jacqueline can scarcely believe it. A trip that was very much worthwhile. Scotland ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to say absolutely worth the miles over here. Seen Sione Tuipulotu as the main distributor. We see Scotland use this early in the game and they're not straight. It's pretty soft defence. You've got to say that that is the threat that Sione Tuipulotu brings. Just raw power against Callaway and Ikitau. Ikitau is a big man, let me tell you that. Just powered, could not stop him, had to go low, went high. Good comeback from Scotland.
Oh, the wee man, as it is, as I can imagine Jacqueline saying. But having just given Callaway some big licks for the tackle that he made on Darcy Graham. How good is that?
First time she's ever watched her grandson at Murrayfield and sitting alongside her daughter Angelina. That is as good as it gets.
It won't get better than that. A proud moment for her and for him to have her over here.
Malatini rumbles it up for Australia, who look to respond immediately with Skelton. Gordon. Callaway's had a really tidy autumn so far, but
set up offside.
Been an untidy opening quarter.
Yeah, it has. I think both sides will be a little bit scrappy, John.
I was just going to talk about Swati. We've seen this twice, and we saw it against England. He's not going up and even trying to catch the ball. He's just getting into this lane. He's got all the momentum going forward. Look how high he gets. Climbs above Jamie Ritchie, and they get the ball back. The result of that is they go from a position where Scotland would normally take the ball and exit and restart. They're kicking short. They get the ball back. Bit of real discipline. They're now on Scotland's line, having done very little work. Individual brilliance from Swati, though.
6.
Paenga Amosa. Gathered by Wilson.
Gilchrist does that.
Yeah, Gilchrist has done brilliantly to fracture what was looking like a threatening Wallaby moment.
Stay back. And use it! Stay on 9.
Extra metre or so provided by the legs of Pierre Schoeman. Safely away.
Yeah, and the big statements from the Wallabies going for the corner again. We saw Scotland go for 2 line-outs from kickable positions there. Gilchrist just got his hand in, having previously been penalised for coming through and changing his bind. On that occasion, managed to pilfer the ball and give Scotland the opportunity to clear their lines.
The detail was brilliant. If you keep an eye on his right arm, if you go back and watch that, his right arm doesn't swim through, he stays bound and uses the free arm to rip the ball.
Salakai Lotto's take, one-handed as well. Here's Ikitau. Helped himself to one of Australia's 8 tries in Cardiff. Moliseo, whether that was meant for right or not, but it bounced in the end into the arms of Potter. And Scotland will have a defensive line-out to deal with.
Look at this for patience from Finn Russell. Like a sloth at a day spa, I think, just cruising back there. Just waiting patiently for this ball to go into touch while 2 or 3 Wallabies chase him through.
Okay, stay back.
No room for a mistake here. Scotland compressing the line-out, then stretching it to find Gilchrist. Ferguson, who wasn't part of the initial operation, is now.
No, back.
It's a great exit.
Yeah, brilliant exit. We saw against South Africa, Ben White got done once. Thought a little bit harshly for not kicking within the 5 seconds from the use it call, but that is a fantastic kick. No nonsense, takes Scotland right up to, almost up to the 10-metre line. That's exactly where you want to be.
So another shortened line out. And Malatini is there. Ferguson rolled through. Ritchie finished the job.
Yeah. It's a good carry by Angus Bell. You see the power he possesses. We've seen that in the last number of weeks, but he gets slightly exposed. It looks like the Australian cleaners are just a bit too slow, a little bit too reactive rather than being proactive. And Jamie Ritchie gets in there nice and early. You see it here, quick hands to Angus Bell, big man carrying, loses support. I've got to say, Carlo Tizzano a little bit sluggish in the clear out there on Jamie Ritchie. The jackal threat's normally going to come from the inside. You've got to expect it to come from there.
It's Jamie Ritchie's first start of the autumn. Scotland switching Matt Fagerson to 8 in the absence of the injured Jack Dempsey. He hurt his shoulder against the Springboks. Scotland on the front foot again with the captain Tui Pelotu. Oh, the strength of the man to drive it to the 22. Didn't have the opportunity to bring it back on the blue side.
Yeah, it was a flying maul, wasn't it? It was like a runaway train for a stint with Sione Tui Pelotu on the carry, but you just see the two tacklers there. They're Tizzano and Ikitau both get underneath him, latch onto the ball. Matt Fagerson's right on there trying to add his weight, but look, that ball is wrapped up, and even with that body of bodies shifting together, that is a maul. Chris Busby straight to his whistle when it goes to ground. Australia rewarded. They might have lost 10 metres, but they've got possession back.
Little pop of the cheeks from Joe Schmidt. Good game this, isn't it? There's a lot going on.
There certainly is. I don't think either team have fully hit their straps yet, but it's full of energy, full of aggression, physicality. Both teams are right up for this.
Take him back.
Lolosio. Swatali'i chasing. He made life very hard for Scotland scrum half Ben White, who did very well in the circumstances.
Did absolutely brilliantly, running backwards, neck being breathed down, and just to gather, get back to his feet, regather, and hold time for his defenders to get back and help him.
Van der Merwe coming in field to get some action. He's seen precious little so far. Tui Pelotu increasingly seeing more. Here's Kinghorn. Tests Swatali'i's defensive capabilities. Scuman.
Some big collisions out here.
Hugh Jones. Sidesteps that can break defenders' ankles.
That's a good option there by Scotland. I think they're just playing a little bit too lateral. They've got to understand they've got to win the gain line battle first.
That was Salakai Lotu who flew through. Dylan van der Merwe almost as big. Xander Fagerson, Russell beginning to open up now for Scotland. Gilchrist tackled by Bell. Xander Fagerson, he rolls over Wilson, and then Cummings with the ball back inside. Russell, Graham in off his wing. Tui Pelotu for support. Oh,
he's hurt himself. That's a big shot.
Swatali'i not part of this defensive effort though. Scotland still full of ambition, full of hope. White will have it. Russell away quickly. Fagerson. Murrayfield around us, out of their seats, on their feet.
He's pulled it back too.
Wondering if this might be a second try as we approach the half-hour mark. Paenga Ramosa over the ball to slow things down. This is Daj.
No five.
Swatali'i still down. Scuman. Popped up for Fagerson. He's brought down by Salakai Loto. And then the work over the ball of the hooker, Brandon Paenga Ramosa.
The best passage of play the game's had. Scotland hit their straps, loads of options, picking the right option. There's a bit of a few verbals going on here between Tui Pelotu and Swatali'i. We do know that it was a big old collision. What we saw there from Scotland was you saw Ben White mixing up, Finn Russell mixing up the continuity of their play, narrowing Australia up, bringing them tight, then managing to use the width as well. This is the shot coming up. And Sione comes back on a cut. Bang.
Yeah, that was my view. Yeah. Okay, it's an HIA, is it?
just about enough of the wrap of the right arm there, and it's the right arm, the right shoulder that's causing Swatali'i problems at the end of all that. And well, unless that's an HIA, that's Swatali'i gone for good. And Max Jorgensen is with us. We'll need confirmation that is permanent, or an HIA. We'll get to the bottom of that.
He certainly looked stunned when he went down, Nick. He went down, I almost thought it was a lower arm injury, the way he was holding his right wrist. But I think it was purely stunned by the size of the collision. So be interested to hear whether it is an HIA, but it was a heck of a collision. But there was so much going on with that phase of play. The angles, the accuracy around the breakdown, the physicality of the Wallabies defence. There was so much action within it, some brilliant stuff in there. The Wallabies managed to hold Scotland out in the end.
I think importantly, you saw big carries from big men. Xander Fagerson doing a good job to straighten up on a number of occasions. Scott Cummins ran a great line off Ben White as well. You need that variety in your play. You can't just go wide.
Line out, overshot. Ashman took it, and Darge, and Russell now with free ball and a bit of space for Jones to run into. Kinghorn part of the clear-up crew. Valentini against White. White wins the battle for the ball. Russell orchestrating once again. Tuipulotu, Kinghorn, Graham charging up, but Kinghorn went the other way. Fagerson, Xander Fagerson takes on Valentini.
Another great carry from Xander Fagerson. Real quality in that.
Gilchrist. Matt Fagerson reloads again into Valentini. He's a busy boy defensively at the moment. Russell. Tuipulotu. Graham. Galloway rolling over the top. Australia getting a lot of defensive practice at the moment and doing it well enough. Scotland held up 10 metres short. Oh, now there's a penalty. Cummings. Russell switches the direction of play, involves Kinghorn. Still lots of green and gold defensively.
Okay, he's off his feet and 5's legal. We're going back here, number 1, road away.
Decision here. They've seen him put these in the corner. So we saw a little glimpse of Blair Kinghorn there for me. Just that ability to bounce on the pass, interest the defender outside, trying to get his arms free, and he made the right decision not to offload it. But actually, you're seeing Scotland managing to go through the gears here, but they're going to need something in return. They're going to the corner here.
The ruck speed ball has been rapid, even within the 22. Ball up and away so quickly. Ben White working hard, ruck to ruck, and plenty of willing runners in all directions. Lots of lead in the legs of these Australians now, having put in a big defensive shift.
You're the receiver, yeah? 6, okay. He's receiver, it's good. Step off, Alan. Step off. Thank you.
Flag in the left hand of the touch judge, Andy Brace, down below us. Attempt of the shift there. Ashman! Oh, suddenly it opened up for him, but Chris...
It's after the line out, yeah.
Busby's whistle for the knock-on.
Andy, it's after the line, it's over, yeah, so it's here.
You want to go early promotion, no? We didn't have the ball.
Not for us.
Scotland going for the trick play there. Okay, look like they shift Maul down the front, but again, you've seen it early on the far side with the ball to the back, and Jamie Ritchie. The transfer wasn't there. And equally there, the transfer has to be spot on.
Do you need a second?
Theory, by the way, that Max Jorgensen may well be on permanent, because the news from down below us in the tunnel is that
just going to stick a bit of
Joseph Swatali'i was taken off for an injury. It's not an HIA, so that is Swatali'i's Sunday.
And I believe his old man is here, Peter Jorgensen, who I played alongside during his stint here in Edinburgh. That makes me feel quite old, but yeah, here is the... I'm wondering where the knock-on came. If it came before that moment, it was called by nearside touch judge Andrew Brace. Was it just here in the transfer?
Just there,
Darge, yeah.
I think Scott Cummins should take that, but I think the transfer, got to be able to get your hands to reach that early. You've got to understand there's going to be arms swimming over you there from opposition defenders trying to swim through that maul. The transfer, those you see, is even harder in a regular maul, if you want to call it that, but actually having that transfer, and it's something they'll have practiced through the week, and they'll be frustrated because they would have seen an opportunity in the way that Australia defend to actually use that shift drive down the front.
It's Alan Alatoa up against Pierre Scuman on this near side, and Angus Bell and Xander Fagerson wrestling away on the other.
Seen these guys down at pitch side before the game, Nick. I mean, just absolute specimens, you know. Sometimes Alan Alatoa isn't necessarily spoken about as being one of the bigger props in world rugby, but my goodness, like, just the physical size of these human beings is unbelievable. It's been a cracking contest so far, both sides wanting to play. The error count has been higher than both sides would have liked, but the game is right on a knife edge.
Yeah, a couple of very heavy sideboards about to run into each other here, and all that weight coming through the second row as well, John. There's a lot of pressure going through both sets of shoulders.
There sure is. It was quite comfortable in the back row. It was uncomfortable enough. As it is, we've had another scrum, and we've not had one scrum penalty, so long may that continue.
We're good.
Australia's scrum half is Jake Gordon. He's back starting after he hurt himself in the win at Twickenham.
Yeah, I'll be a little bit disappointed with the yardage from their nines now. There's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of stress around the base of these rucks now for scrum halves. Not the same time to be able to build the depth in the ruck that will give you the proper opportunity to get the space and time you want to clear a long box kick, and on that occasion Jake Gordon couldn't get as far as he would have liked.
It was Richie hoisted as high could be. Into the final 5 minutes. Tui Pelotu. Fagerson wasn't far away. Russell thought of kicking, passes instead to Kinghorn, and now Graham. Paenga Ramosa over the ball, but couldn't get his hands onto it. Alatoa over the top again, just to slow things down, gum things up. Scuman into contact. Tui Pelotu. Russell whips it away to Jones.
See Scotland just choosing the direct option, even from the maul. It was a maul. Even the options after that, Sione Tui Pelotu opting for the front ball. Everything's going a little bit more direct, trying to narrow up this defence.
As Fagerson tried to pass at just the moment he tried to pass, Kellaway came in.
Australia scrum.
I think he looked to bounce outwards there, Matt Fagerson, maybe in just doing so. I think he maybe just lost his footing, and as he went down, you just hear bounced off the left foot, gets on the outside shoulder of Alatoa. Well, I think it may have came off Andrew Kellaway, actually. Possibly off his head, but then...
It's the right option, I think. You see that speed of Finn Russell's pass, and more than often than not, it's a Hugh Jones trying to bounce out on the back. There was lots of space out there, just trying to get it there. You see that 5 handling errors for Scotland so far, and that includes the transfer errors at line-out time as well. It feels like Scotland have come from a position where you mentioned it, there was 80% possession in the opening 15 minutes. They've managed to actually get to 52% possession, and similarly on territory, but small errors in their game are just preventing them from taking it over the scoreboard. Scrum penalty. 7th scrum of the match, John, and Scotland haven't had one of their own yet.
Number 1 is pulled right away to the
the right decision there. Chris Busby looked like Pierre Scuman's hips came out.
Forward, then number 1 stepped out into the...
On this side we had it as Pierre Scuman's hips come out. That's a telltale sign for a referee. When the pressure comes on, your hips come in, it gives you the option to try and drive across the scrum, but you can't do it. So Chris Busby spots it early.
That's the pretty much perfect picture.
See here, keep an eye on Pierre Scuman. The pressure's coming on. Alatoa goes in the hole between Ashman and Scuman, and you see that Scuman caught on the outside.
Matt Fessler pulling out with a grumbly calf yesterday, hurt it as he's on his way to scoring that hat-trick against Wales, and that did not work out for Paenga Ramosa and the Wallaby line-out. So Tui Pelotu and Scotland can ask a few final questions before half-time, maybe tough ones. Kinghorn rattling it up and staying on his feet and gathering players around him.
Exactly the same
However,
as
Same as the 2 o'clock one.
Gone by Scotland.
You do see glimpses there. Blair Kinghorn, the pace he can inject into those wide channels. The initial burst, the slight show and go. I'm not sure who it was. Does a great job in just targeting the ball as Grant Gilchrist gets the second line-out steal of the day.
Look at the work here. Grant Gilchrist, wonderful steal. Hands go out to the outside. Look at the yellow. Rob Valentini acceleration here. He goes belts to Pilotu, so he's no longer in a supporting position. Max Jorgensen goes high, manages to hold him up, and then I think it's Ikitau again who comes in and gets underneath. It is. There's Valentini again on his feet. And even though all the momentum is going with Scotland, is deemed to have been kept up and turned into a flying maul, and from there Australia win a scrum. Blair Kinghorn is incandescent at the decision made by the referee, feeling it's probably more of a tackle than a maul.
Stay behind 9.
40 minutes gone.
Same scrum, please. Same scrum. Goes across.
Same scrum again. Alexander Fagerson did a real job on Angus Bell there.
Didn't think it come out. That's brilliant. For me, it just went straight across.
Finn Russell imparting his scrummaging knowledge
Let's go, lads.
across to Andrew Brace there. I'm not sure what he said. I'd love to know what he did say.
Good setup, then we're both at an angle this side. Okay, stay
St
forward,
Joseph
please.
Swatali.
That's the way to have it.
It's the last we have seen of him on the pitch today. So this Australia ball. How much ambition do they have? Do they think they've got something spectacular up their sleeves, or do they fancy the half-time orange? What do we reckon?
I was just thinking, are they going to get a solid platform? Obviously, they'll be hoping for a scrum penalty. Then the jeopardy attached to playing is less if they can march their way up the pitch and kick it to the corner. But actually, nope.
It's the half-time
Absolute
orange.
nonsense, John. Half-time orange. Off you go, lads. Get a cup of tea. We'll do the same.
That'll do. One try.